Well, hello and welcome to a little creative, and today I made Blackberry Cordial. As you can see, the freezer is slightly organised, but I've tried putting tape with these nails on. I'm not sure if I'll keep that next year or not. I've also got some older ones here that I've popped in the freezer. I think we'll use that one. And we'll get another one as well. Quite liking these bags I've made recently. Okay, so we need to empty all our frozen berries into the pan. I must say this is rather difficult when you're trying to do it one-handed with the camera. Not doing too bad so far. These were actually from our allotment last year, so I've used up for start collecting some new ones for autumn this year. This one's particularly tricky with one hand. Let's get them out. Oh, I'm losing a few. Oh, I'll pick them up in a second. The idea is just to get them all in the pan so that you can start to cook and defrost them at the same time. You can, of course, microwave them to defrost them, but I don't want to really dirty another pan. Water doesn't have to be hot here, but I happen to have a boiled kettle, and that will start to help everything defrost and stop the berries from sticking to the bottom. The lid I tend to put on because it just saves a bit of energy and keeps the steam in, and that helps heat everything up. Ha. Wrong one. Turn it off, get the right one on. Right, so it's started to defrost, but you can see that the top's frozen, so I'm going to give it a poke and get it to defrost with everything else. You also notice there's a lot more liquid as things start to defrost. That's not just from the water I put in earlier. Nice device there. When we collect them from the allotment, we tend to wash them in the tubs, so there is always a little bit of water at the bottom that gets frozen with everything else, but because they're pre-washed, it means I can use them from frozen. I'll let that go for a little bit longer now. We've mixed everything up. Here we are again, a bit later. And we're really starting to get some liquid out of those berries now. Generally speaking, it's defrosted. Give it a good stir. Want to get all the temperature the same all the way through. Lid back on. We'll come back again in a bit. That's better. So everything's starting to bubble now, which means the fruit is past defrosting. We're starting to get it to cook. And we're getting so much more liquid coming out now. But you can see that the berries are still whole. So they're starting to burst, but we're not really getting them to go down. So when it's fully done, you'll see that I've got my potato masher. I just find it really easy. with the potato masher just to break down the last parts of the fruit, because obviously we want to release as much fluid from the berries as we can, so that when I strain it in a little bit, we'll get the most drink out of it. Okay, here we go with the straining. So the sieve is not totally necessary, but I find that it supports my muslin square while I'm working. And the muslin square isn't dirty, honest. It's purely because I've done this quite a few times before and it's stained the muslin in the middle. You can actually see where things have gradually stained it more and more and more. Now I have to be careful here because it does squat everywhere. Oops, steam the camera up. So I'm trying to pour it as slowly as possible just to reduce the amount of squatting, but as you can see, I'm still going to have to wipe up in a bit. I'll probably pause for a bit, let it drain through a bit, and then put the rest of what's in the pan. Keep getting too close with the steam. Okay, so then I need to put some knots in the muslin because this one isn't a bought straining bag. So I put knots in myself. I've also got it's like a metal shaped in an S, so it's a hook. So I can put that under the knots and then I can handily hang it from the cupboard here, because I happen to have cupboard handles that take it, so that's quite handy. And then all of the liquid will start to flow out of the bottom. Don't need the sieve anymore, that can go. All that beautiful dark liquid, absolutely amazing of that. Stains well though, so don't wear your light clothing when you're doing this. The amount of times I've managed to stain something and then it's a bit of a struggle to get it back out again. Okay, when it's fully drained and you're not really getting much more out, I like to squeeze it. I know some people don't because they think that you're not getting the best stuff, but I want to get as much out of my produce as I can. So I like to squeeze it, and you'll see the dirty hands there. Get out as much as I can, and that's basically where I managed to get it to. So get rid of that later. Now we need to get the liquid up to boiling point on the stove. Lid on, speed that up. Then once we have got boiling point, that's when we're going to put the sugar in. Now I haven't given any measurements because basically I do everything by eye and taste. You can get a lot of recipes on the internet if you want to follow something, maybe it's your first time doing it or whatever, but we need to get this stirred in so that it dissolves. Don't want any granules of the sugar left. And you can see it's beautiful, it looks really so shiny. Now I've took it off the heat because I don't want to make it into jam. So you can see here that there's still a few granules, so we'll stir that a bit more. I don't want jam, so I've took it off the heat. I don't want it to continue boiling, so the residual heat that's actually in the pan will start to dissolve the sugar with me stirring it. Let's get the final bits dissolved. And as you can see, there's not really much left there at all. Such a dark, deep colour. We've got ever such a lot of blackberry bushes at the allotment, so we use them for cordial and jam and all sorts of things. Finally mixed. Obviously you'll see me put it into bottles soon, but I've already sterilised these bottles. I tend to like to wash them in warm soapy water and then heat them up in the oven, and then I just pour boiling water over my funnel. So now I've got the tricky part of getting what's in the pan into the bottle, preferably without spilling it all. Sometimes you get an airlock and it doesn't all go in at once. You have to be quite careful. Okay, so I'm going to get it full to about the neck. Hey! And then we'll get the next bottle in. Normally I make around 3 bottles because it just keeps us going, and then I don't only need to refrigerate it. I don't need to actually water bath it or anything.